Are rich men born or made? And what exactly are the perks of being a billionaire? We may think that we know a lot about these wealthy men, but some facts about their lives are sure to shock you. Starting with number 10, Steve Ballmer. Net worth $95.4 billion. Steve Ballmer was raised in Farmington Hills, Michigan. He lived quite a comfortable life among wealthy people, as his dad was a manager at the Ford Motor Company. He chose not to follow in his father's footsteps and instead showed a keen interest in engineering, mathematics, and economics. When he was 25, he joined Bill Gates at his startup tech company, Microsoft. The two had become acquainted with each other at college, and Gates had built up enough trust and confidence in him to bestow him with some of the most important roles. Ballmer became the company's CEO and eventually the president. In his later years, he acquired the Los Angeles Clippers of the National Basketball Association. He is married to Connie Snyder, and they have 3 sons together. As you can probably imagine, he owns several luxury properties. One of the most notable is his $10 million home in Hunts Point, Washington, and he has another property on Whidbey Island. Unlike many of his super-rich counterparts, he prefers to drive a $19,000 Ford Fusion hybrid. Ballmer and Gates have donated $10 million to the computer science department at Harvard, and in 2014, Ballmer donated $50 million to the University of Oregon. Number 9. Gautam Adani. Net worth $95.8 billion. Number 9 on our list is from incredible India. I suppose we can say that Adani came from relatively humble beginnings. His father was a small textile merchant, and I'm not quite sure what his mother did. He dropped out of university in his second year, but didn't join his father's business. Years later, he established Adani Exports, which initially focused on agricultural and power commodities. In 1994, his company received a contract from the government of Gujarat to manage the Mundra port. He performed exceedingly well by setting up the first jetty and making it the largest private sector port in India. They were able to handle almost 210 million tons of cargo each year. In 1996, Adani Power was founded, and right now they are the largest private thermal power producer in India. He has since acquired a port and a coal mine in Australia. Adani's company did not stop there. In 2022, they acquired Ambuja Cements. After all that hard work, he has to enjoy his money somehow. He owns 3 private jets, a Beechcraft, a Bombardier, and a Hawker. If he's only planning to take a short trip, he can choose between one of his 3 helicopters. He owns a Ferrari, but his favorite car seems to be his BMW 7 Series. He owns multiple properties, but his main 2 residences are a massive house in Delhi, which some compare to a palace, and a bungalow in his hometown Ahmedabad. Number 8. Sergey Brin. Net worth $99.6 billion. Brin came from a family of brain boxes. His father was a retired mathematics professor, and his mother, a researcher at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. They lived a simple life in Moscow, and they emigrated to the U.S. in 1979. Brin possessed a passion for computer science, and he studied this at the University of Maryland and Stanford University. He met Larry Page at Stanford, and they eventually became close friends who'd frequently share ideas. They put their heads together to start a search engine, which gained popularity among Stanford users. In 1996, they made the first version of Google available on the Stanford website. They recognized that their project had a lot of potential and continued to expand it into what we know it to be today. Thankfully, because what would I do without Google? Their profits grew, and now Brin is reaping the rewards of his hard work. With Page, he owns a customized Boeing 767-200 and a Dassault Dornier Alpha jet. The Google multi-billionaire recently bought a luxury property in Point Dume, Malibu. This 6,300 square foot property has 5 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms. But if that doesn't seem like much for a billionaire, trust me, there's more. There's a stylish penthouse in New York City, 2 homes in the Silicon Valley town of Los Altos Hills, California, and if he gets bored with these, he can always get on his super yacht, Dragonfly. Number 7. Mukesh Ambani. Net worth $101.3 billion. Incredible India makes the list again. Ambani was born in Yemen in 1957, but his father decided to move the family back to India to start a trading business. They lived a modest lifestyle. Ambani used public transportation and never received an allowance as a child. In his early adulthood, he studied chemical engineering, then began pursuing an MBA at Stanford. He decided to drop out to help his father build another business called Reliance, which dealt in refining and petrochemicals. This turned out to be a good decision because the business eventually expanded expanded to include retail and telecommunications industries. Through this business, he owns the Indian Premier League franchise Mumbai Indians, and he also founded a football league named Indian Super League. After his father's death, Ambani acquired Reliance Industries Limited and Indian Petrochemicals Corporation Limited. He developed the world's largest grassroots petroleum refinery in Jamnagar and began to invest in different businesses. He lives in a private 27-story building called Antilia. It's one of the most expensive private residences in the world and comes equipped with 3 helipads, a 160-car garage, private movie theater, swimming pool, and fitness center. It even has a snow room that spits out snowflakes from the walls. Ambani is also quite the charmer, as he gave his wife a $60 million Airbus 319 for her 44th birthday. What a lucky lady. Number 6. Larry Page. Net worth $103.9 billion. Just like his friend Sergey Brin, he was born to pretty intelligent parents. His father was a computer science professor, and his mom taught computer programming at a college. He always demonstrated superior intellectual abilities and showed great ability in musical education, which he claims inspired his impatience and made him obsessed with speed in computing. Because his parents were both computer science experts, there were always some computer parts lying around, which he'd pick up and play with. Later on, he decided to pursue his passion and obtained a bachelor's degree in computer engineering and a master's in computer science. He teamed up with Sergey Brin at Stanford, and the Google magic began. Since I explained that before, let's just focus on his lifestyle. He owns a Spanish colonial revival architecture house in California and has been purchasing properties and tearing down homes close to his so that he can make room for a large eco-house. He wants to design it to minimize the impact on the environment. He owns a $45 million super yacht called Senses. In terms of his philanthropic efforts, he has donated over $20 million to the Voice Health Institute in Boston and $15 million to the fight against the Ebola epidemic in West Africa. He's also an investor in Tesla Motors and renewable energy technology. Number 5. Warren Buffett. Net worth $112.7 billion. Remember my question about whether rich men were born or made? What do you think about Buffett? From an early age, his passion appeared to be business and investing. When he was 7 years old, he borrowed a book called 1,000 Ways to Make $1,000. And after that, it seemed like he always had a new entrepreneurial idea. He sold chewing gum, magazines, Coca-Cola bottles, and even worked in his grandfather's store to earn money. He began learning about the stock market and investing when he was 10, and he bought his first 3 shares when he was 11. At 19, he graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and later earned his master's degree in economics. He worked as a stockbroker, and in 1952, he married Susan Thompson. By 1954, they had 2 children. He started Buffett Partnership Limited, and he became a millionaire in 1962 because of his partnerships. He continued investing and later acquired a textile manufacturing firm. He later moved into the insurance sector because the textile thing wasn't working out too well. He continued acquiring stock, and this is what has led to his incredible wealth today. He runs Berkshire Hathaway, which owns many companies, including Duracell and Geico. As far as extravagance is concerned, he still lives in the same Omaha house, which he purchased in 1958, and he plans to donate 99% of his fortune to charity. Number 4. Bill Gates. Net worth $123.2 billion. Number 4 on the list is Bill Gates, who held the number 1 title for many years. This co-founder of Microsoft wrote his first software program at the age of 13 and went on to pursue his passions in early adulthood. Most of his wealth comes from Microsoft, which he founded with Paul Allen in 1975. He has held the position of chairman, CEO, president, and chief software architect in the company. We already know quite a lot about this guy, so let's take a look at his lifestyle. Gates owns a mansion which overlooks Lake Washington in Medina. This massive estate has some neat features, including a swimming pool with an underwater music system, a gym, and a huge dining room. On May 3, 2021, Bill and Melinda Gates announced that they decided to get a divorce, but would continue working together on philanthropic efforts. It is alleged that Melinda had concerns about Bill's ties with Jeffrey Epstein. The divorce was finalized in August that same year. The public's opinion of Gates has not remained consistent throughout the years. Initially, he was simply a cool computer nerd who was able to get really rich, and he was loved a little more when he began to focus on charitable issues with his ex-wife. His image began to deteriorate after the announcement of the divorce, and things worsened during the COVID-19 pandemic, as he was accused of prioritizing profit over public health. Number 3. Bernard Arnault. Net worth $137.1 billion. This French businessman magnate, is the co-founder, chairman, and CEO of LVMH Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton SE. He is also known as the richest person in Europe. In his earlier days, he attended France's top engineering university, École Polytechnique. He worked within his father's company and eventually convinced him to diversify and focus on real estate. In the 1980s, he decided that he wanted to create luxury brands, and he worked tirelessly until he achieved this. He owns many other things too. Several web companies, Chateau Cheval Blanc, Princess Yachts, and Royal Von Lent. He has also invested in Wiz, which is an Israeli cloud security company. He has a great love for collecting art and owns work by Andy Warhol, Yves Klein, Henry Moore, and Picasso. He resides in Bordeaux, in a 150-year-old castle that has belonged to his family since 1998. He also owns a beautiful hotel in the French Alps and a huge villa in Saint-Tropez. Outside of France, he has 5 homes in Beverly Hills, which are worth $125 million in total. His super yacht costs over $150 million, and my favorite part is the glass-bottom pool. He also owns a private jet, a Dassault Falcon 7X jet. But it doesn't stop there, because when you're super rich and your houses, jets, and yachts are not enough, you buy an island, obviously. He allegedly owns Indigo Island in the Bahamas, which he purchased for $35 million. Number 2. Jeff Bezos. Net worth $146.2 billion. Now, we've heard a lot about this guy, but how much do we actually know about the founder, executive chairman, former president, and CEO of Amazon? Unlike many of the billionaires I mentioned who grew up with well-established, educated parents, Bezos was born to a 17-year-old mom who was still in high school. He got the name Bezos from his stepfather, a Cuban man named Miguel Bezos, whom his mother married in 1968. He was always interested in technological and scientific things, and he graduated from Princeton in 1986 with a degree in electrical engineering and computer science. His wealth comes from Amazon, a company which began as an online bookstore and has since expanded into an e-commerce store most of us can't live without. He owns several other industries, which include robotics, retail, media, and healthcare. In 2000, he founded the aerospace company Blue Origin, with the main goal of making space travel cheaper and more reliable. When he isn't trying to colonize space, he's on Earth acquiring as much property as he can. He currently possesses a massive real estate portfolio, which is valued at about $570 million. He has properties in Hawaii, New York, California, Texas, and Washington, D.C. He recently divorced his wife, Mackenzie Tuttle, who received 25% of Amazon's stock. This amounted to $35.6 billion, which made her one of the richest women in the world. Don't assume that his love life is dead, though. I mean, with a portfolio like that, how can it be? He's currently in a relationship with the beautiful Lauren Sanchez. Well, I wish them happiness. Number 1. Elon Musk. Net worth $210.8 billion. Elon Musk came from a very wealthy South African family. His father, Errol Musk, was an electromechanical engineer, consultant, and property developer who owned half of a Zambian emerald mine near Lake Tanganyika. He developed a fascination with video games and computer programming, and by the age of 12, he had already sold the code of a video game he had created. He moved to Canada in 1989 and later pursued studies in physics. He is currently the founder, CEO, and chief engineer at SpaceX, product architect of Tesla Inc., founder of The Boring Company, and co-founder of Neuralink and OpenAI. I'll spare you the less interesting details and get straight into his extravagant lifestyle. Check out his impressive car collection. It includes a Jaguar 1967 E-Type, a McLaren F1, an Audi Q7, a Porsche 911, and a BMW M5. He owns 2 Gulfstream private jets, a G550 and a G650, which he seems to prefer. A few years ago, it was reported that he owned 4 mansions in Bel Air, all with a pretty interesting and unique story. However, he sold many of his properties because he wanted to focus on his mission to bring human life to Mars. Although Elon Musk has a lot, he has been rumored to enjoy a pretty frugal lifestyle. In a 2015 podcast, he claimed that he once limited his food budget to $1 a day. And there you have it, the 10 richest guys in the world. So tell me, if you had a few $1 billion, how would you spend it?